Hello and welcome to another episode of Double J's List. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. I'm trying to get to at least 1,000 subscribers. That would be really, really great if you would just like and subscribe. Moving on. Today I had to take the Jetta Sportwagen in to get its annual New York State inspection for safety and emissions. So I brought it in to Basil Volkswagen in Lockport, and I'm going to give them a shout out only because I am friends with the general manager, and he is a legitimate car enthusiast, Volkswagen enthusiast, and anyone who knows the VW scene here in Western New York knows that that's probably the dealership that you should be going to for any kind of sales or service. Unfortunately, that dealership is about 45 minutes away from my home. I pass 3 other Volkswagen dealerships to go there only because it is far superior. The reason I'm bringing this up today is because while I was getting the car inspected a few days before I went to get it done, I was browsing their website and I noticed that they had some leftover 2020 Volkswagen GTIs, the S trim level with the DSG transmission. They're both white, 2 of them. And I thought, well, if I traded in my Jetta Sportwagen towards one of those and did a lease, maybe it would make a ton of sense to have that and then keep the Land Cruiser for winter, and if I'm getting worried about miles on a lease, I have that to fall back on. And in the meantime, I could have a brand new car. It's a little bit more fun to drive. So I messaged him, and he got one ready to test drive for me. And I have some general impressions of what I thought about it. Now, first of all, it's going from my Mark 6, that's 6th generation Golf and Jetta platform car, to the 7th generation. We're now at the tail end of the 7th generation platform for the Golf. I believe next year the new one's coming out, the 8th generation. So there's the inherent upgrades that you get going from one generation to the next. Obviously, the infotainment going from 2014 to 2020 is a quantum leap. Apple CarPlay. This one actually has the same stereo, at least appeared to be the same stereo that's in my wife's 2019 Tiguan. Very familiar with it. I didn't even turn it on because I'm familiar with it. I know what it is. So the one that he had for me to test drive actually was a 2021. Actually, the 2020s were gone. So I drove a 2021 SE, which I personally would rather have an S with the plaid seats. This was an SE with leather. It had the black wheels, which actually looked pretty good. This one was also white. My very first impression, just driving it through the parking lot to pull out, it seems that Volkswagen has addressed some of the, I guess you could call it oddness, of the stop and go with the DSG transmission. My car sometimes feels like it gets a little confused in stop and go traffic with the engagement of the clutch, and it seems like Volkswagen sorted that out a little bit. It was quite a bit better for stop and go, and the little bit of stop and go that I did. Just smoother, easier to drive around, less clunky. I also noticed that, and this I don't think was as much of an innovation as it was an adjustment for the type of car, but since it's the GTI and it's the sportier model, especially when you put it in sport mode or you're in manual mode, the upshifts were firmer. So you felt it a little bit more when it shifted, whether you used the pedals or you let it shift itself. You actually felt it a little bit, whereas the Sportwagen is actually just really, really smooth, almost disappointingly so, even though it's fast. At least you can kind of feel the upshift a little bit. It made it feel a little bit more alive, which I actually really liked. These have a 7-speed DSG instead of the 6-speed that's in my car. In operation, though, other than a little bit different upshift feel. The other thing I did was a little bit strange, was I went around a corner and I put it to the floor, and it actually seemed confused for a moment. It took probably about a half a second to finally, it cut power and everything, and it decided to shift into a different gear, and then boom, it downshifted and off it went. My car never has done that, so I don't know, maybe it was because it's a brand new car and it was still learning. because I know these computers learn a little bit about the driver, where it seems like my car, it reacts a little bit quicker in that particular situation. Every other situation, it reacted better than my car. So, like, I kind of think it might have just been a fluke. But anyway, I really like the interior. A little too much piano black, but everyone complains about that. I guess I'm a car journalist now because I'm complaining about piano blacking on the interior. Anyway, the steering wheel was gorgeous. Flat bottom, really high-end materials. I think it's a plastic that looks like metal on it. It looks really nice. Seats were supportive. A little bit of road noise, but it's Golf. It's not a Cadillac. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention before I get off the topic of the GTI is that after driving the DSG, I think I would prefer a real manual. This might seem a little bit childish, but one of the things that's appealing about a dual clutch is sometimes in programming, when they upshift, the exhaust makes a noise that's a result of unburned fuel hitting the exhaust manifold, and it's a small explosion happening inside your exhaust, but more commonly known as DSG Farts, like flatulence. Look it up on YouTube. You can find plenty of videos with it. The GTI, I couldn't even really hear it on my test drive. I thought it would be a lot more prevalent. Apparently, from what I've read and seen in other reviews, it's more prevalent on Golf Rs and some of the Audi models that have dual clutches and other cars that have dual clutches. I remember my brother-in-law's SRT Grand Cherokee did it with the ZF 8-speed. So it was kind of disappointing I didn't hear that either. Still had lightning fast upshifts. But they must have tuned that out a little bit. But anyway, yeah, so I think I would just go manual then, because I do miss driving a manual transmission. I think that would be the most fun. Also, the whole save the manuals movement that I believe in. It's really sad that you can't get too many cars with manual transmissions anymore. So as good as DSG is, I think I would probably go with a true manual. However, if the right deal came along, I'd sell out. I hate white cars, but I'd buy a white car if it was the right price. I would prefer the manual, but the right price for a DSG, I would do it. The reason I decided to keep my car and not go that direction as of right now is it would have increased my payments by about $100 a month. And I like my car. And I didn't like this GTI that much more to justify that much of a bump in pay. My Jet is still very pleasant to drive, really fun still. Obviously, the GTI is faster. I would say it probably has about the same amount of back seat room. The Sportwagon's got a lot more space in the cargo area, obviously, because it's a wagon. Other than that, though, yeah, I basically decided to just stay with my car for the time being. I still am tempted. I did see a commercial for the Chevy Bolt, and if you haven't watched it yet, watch my video talking about the Chevy Bolt and how I think it's a legitimate competitor for the Tesla Model 3 at a fraction of the price. But one of the local car dealerships had an ad on there during the ball drop that they were $225 a month sign and drive, which would be about the same price I'm paying for my car. And I was like, wow, that's tempting. I really do want to do an electric car. And I'd be in the same situation. I'd keep the Land Cruiser on the side. If I'm worried about miles or I have to drive a far distance or need to carry something large, that would work out really well. They're also about as quick as a GTI, which is ironic after I drove that. This is like another choice. So on my way home, I actually drove through that car dealership. Here's a picture of it right here. I'll post it up. I really like this crazy Oasis blue color that they come in. I think it would look great and would be good stuff for YouTube. But there's something stopping me. I can't figure out what it is from really pursuing that any further. So anyway, if you have any ideas, any opinions, you want to know more about my test drive today, leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.